And welcome back to Sports on Tap. It's our Ohio high school football coverage. We're part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. I'm Rob Trent. We have Ed Dick, Sean Duffy, Josh Jeffy, live from Studio J.
Word.
And right now we're going to jump right in to the Southwestern Conference. We have 10 games, so you're going to have to bear with me on this one. I might be running out of breath by the end of this, but on
not possible.
Remember to breathe, Rob. Just breathe.
I'll try my best. Well, we're first going to start Thursday night's game. North Olmsted took on Valley Forge. This was played in Avon, and North Olmsted got on the board first with a 22-yard field goal by Fess, which was fouled by a 13-yard touchdown by sophomore running back Darren Anders from senior quarterback Brandon Maximovich. 3 touchdowns and a safety in the second quarter by North Olmsted. Let's put it this way. North Olmsted led 32-0 at halftime, and they ended up rolling over Valley Forge 39-14. Some stats in the game.
Talk about rust.
Quarterback Brandon Maximovich, and that's the first game, threw for 144 yards and 3 touchdowns, while the running back Darren Anders rushed for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. North Olmsted takes on Midview next, while Valley Forge hosts Revere. All right, moving on to Avon and Strongsville, and this was a game that went back and forth after a scoreless first half. Sophomore quarterback Ryan Malloy got the Eagles on the board with a 50-yard touchdown strike to Mitch Cooper to give Avon a 7-0 lead. That was 1:51 in the second half. Then Strongsville answers with a score of its own as Callahan Hinckley ran in from 10 yards out to tie the game at 7. Well, Avon didn't waste any time as Malloy found Velasi Pappas on a 12-yard scoring strike with 2:06 left.
Sweet, sassy Velasi.
That's right. In the third quarter.
I love that.
He gave Avon a 14-7 lead. Strongsville, though, wasn't done yet. They answered right back as Joe Gillette took the ensuing kickoff 95 yards to tie the game at 14. Now, Strongsville tried a fake punt, and this was crucial, in their own territory that was blown up. That led to a 7-yard touchdown run by quarterback Ryan Malloy of Avon, and Avon escapes with a 21-14 win. And, an interesting call, a fake punt in their own territory, and Avon sniffed it out, stopped it, and then turned around and scored. It was Avon's sophomore quarterback Ryan Malloy. He threw for 2 touchdowns, and senior running back Mason McLemore ran for 116 yards and a score. For Strongsville, Johnny Major rushed 14 times for 54 yards, but ended with 105 total yards for Strongsville. Now heading to North Royalton. North Ridgeville really struggled in this one. North Royalton jumped out to a 10-0 lead in the first quarter. North Ridgeville responded with 2 scores, one by running back Shamari Williams on a 4-yard run to take the lead. Ridgeville had 5 fumbles in the first half in which North Royalton took advantage of. Jake Franzak had 3 scores for North Royalton, 2 in the second half and 1 80-yard touchdown run. Royalton ran away with it 38-20. North Ridgeville faces Amherst Steel, and North Royalton takes on Parma coming up. Now heading to Eastlake North, which we remember this game from last year. It was Eastlake North with a last-second field goal. This time a 92-yard kickoff returned by Eastlake North. Junior Kenny Streb was followed by an 82-yard score by Westlake senior Terrence Ross. After going back and forth all game with scores in which it led to 30 points by Westlake, 28 by Eastlake North, it came down to a Westlake field goal by Eric Brizes as he hit a 29-yard field goal to win it. Westlake avenges last year's thriller, which ended almost the same way, but Eastlake North won. It's Westlake 30, Eastlake North 28.
Rob, you need some water? Need to take a breath?
I might here in a second.
Good.
Just do some calisthenics.
He hasn't earned the chocolate milk yet, has he?
He has not. He has not. He's got 10 games.
Hey, it was a rough start, but we're cleaning things up.
Yeah, good.
All right,
but
moving on.
For stats, Eastlake North had 150 yards rushing. Westlake, we didn't have any stats on, but what an offensive juggernaut for Jason Hall, who's in his second year at Westlake. Westlake faces Olmsted Falls next, and Eastlake North takes on Normandy. Now, Kenston and Amherst Steel. Amherst led at halftime 10-0 over Kenston, thanks to Elyria Catholic transfer running back Jeremy Smith, his touchdown from 1 yard out. and Sturgeon then followed with a 32-yard field goal. Then Johnny Matakovic hit Hersko on a 50-yard touchdown pass in the second, but Kenston scored 3 times, and the Bombers' defense responded with a stop on 4th and 1 with less than 2 minutes to play that sealed the game to win 21-17 over Amherst Steel. Kenton running back James Thigpen had 43 rushes for 213 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Jesus.
And Amherst Steel takes on North Ridgeville next. Kenston travels to Medina. Olmsted Falls and Parma. Olmsted Falls jumped out to an early 12-0 lead. Howard and Daly ran it in from 17 yards and 11 yards. That sounds like a lawyer firm right there. That's perfect. Parma answered with 2 scores in the second quarter to tie it before half. Olmsted Falls fullback Spencer Lidville finally got in the action. He scored twice in the fourth quarter, and Olmsted Falls just did beat Parma 33-18. Olmsted Falls takes on Westlake, and Parma travels to North Royalton. Now, Bedford and Berea-Midpark. Jonathan Hunick, the new head coach at Berea-Midpark, his debut started with Bedford's Trenton Cloud going 88 yards on a kickoff return. Cloud would catch a 24-yard pass from Arshawn Boone, who threw 5 touchdowns in the game. Berea-Midpark would get on the board with a Tyrese Holland 35-yard run. Berea-Midpark trailed after one quarter 20-14. It was an offensive back-and-forth game pretty much the whole game, with Bedford leading at half 32-28. Then the second half, well, it was all Bedford, outscoring the Titans 36-6. Bedford goes on to win 68-34 in John Hunick's debut. But the offense of this young team did put up some points, and some stats for Bremen-Midpark. Trevor Baczynski, 197 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Running back Tyrese Holland, 31 rushes, 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then some wide receiver action. Luis Vega, 3 catches, 72 yards. Matt Gorman, 1 for 65 and a touchdown. Dave Browning had 3 for 56 yards and a touchdown. For Bedford, it was quarterback Arshawn Boone, 270 yards and 5 touchdowns. The running game, they had 2 running backs, Tashawn Gunter and Lemuel McMichael. It was Gunter with 141 yards and a touchdown, and McMichael with 95 and a touchdown. Trenton Cloud, the wide receiver, had 103 and 2 touchdowns. Bremen-Midpark faces Lakewood next, and Bedford takes on Nordonia. Now, Medina and Lakewood. Well, this was not pretty from the start.
This is all GCC, Rob.
It is. But Medina running back Jimmy Dawes scored 5 times in this game.
Yep.
And Medina scored 4 times in the first quarter. At half, it was 49-0. Medina rolls 55-0 in this game. Lakewood travels to Bremen-Midpark, and Medina hosts Kenston. Now, my spotlight game of the week, it was Midview and Lorain, and it was a dandy right from the start. Actually, from the start, it wasn't a dandy because it was 0-0 after one quarter. But
Lorain, if you like defense, it was a hell of a dandy.
You know what? The Lorain defense was tough, and the offense started to explode eventually, coming out and scoring 14 points. It was 14-0 thanks to senior running back Carlos Chavis, who ran for 107 yards and a touchdown on 12 carries to help Lorain grab the 14-0 lead, and that was at half. So Lorain led at half. Midview finally ended up scoring with their drought late in the third quarter when Crum hit Keith Johnson in the front corner of the end zone for a 21-yard touchdown. The Middies tied it on the first play of the fourth quarter when junior running back Connor Wolf rumbled 11 yards up the middle and into the end zone, and that tied the game up. Then Carlos Chavis wasn't done. He gave Lorain the lead with a 29-yard run up the middle. Their 2-point conversion was no good, and that ended up being crucial because that allowed Midview to grab its first lead less than 2 minutes later when Crum scored from 3 yards out. Dustin Crum orchestrated a 15-play, 73-yard drive 6 times running the ball himself, including a 10-yard gain on 4th and 3. That was capped off by running back Connor Wolf's 2-yard drive with 1:05 left. Crum ran in for the 2-point conversion. It was 29-26, and it would stay that way. 29-26. Midview wins over Lorain, and a lot of things. Carlos Chavis actually left the game with cramping in his leg. He had an absolute huge game for Lorain. It was some stats from Midview. Dustin Crum, only 76 yards passing and 1 touchdown. He also ran for 121 yards and a touchdown. Lorain's running back Carlos Chavis, 170 yards rushing, 2 scores. Wide receiver Deshaun Brooks scored twice and once on a 12-yard reception and 1 on a 92-yard kickoff return. Midview takes on North Olmsted. Lorain travels to Elyria, and that does it for the Southwestern Conference. We'll talk about our MVPs coming up, our spotlight games coming up, and also in week 2. So the Southwestern Conference, really a lot of pretty good games.
You're right on there, or what?
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah.
You know, after the first one where I stumbled a little bit, it calmed down.
Well, Rob, the good thing you as you mentioned, is that the Southwestern Conference has began and completed their non-conference schedule for the year. So they're getting right into conference play. So that's gonna lead to some really good games down the line for that conference particularly. But you know a tough go of it for friend to show Jonathan Hunick and the Berea-Midpark Titans. You know, it was a tall task indeed going into Bedford and hoping, you know, that Bedford's a tough team every year. So that was no surprise there. You know, I was pleasantly surprised that they were able to maybe respond to some adversity there and stay in the game, because it's very easy for young kids in a new system to say, well, this isn't working, and then, you know, revert back. But, you know, the Titans stayed in there and they fought and they played hard, and, you know, they may not have gotten the outcome they wanted, but again, part of this whole process, I think, that Coach Hunick will say is that you got to respond to adversity, and it looks like they did.
Rob, what you know, you kind of teased your spotlight game, but what is your spotlight game?
You know what? The Southwestern Conference spotlight game, and, you know, it was a tough one because there's a lot of good games coming up. Midview and North Olmsted's coming up, but I had to take the rivalry Avon at Avon Lake, and primarily because
excellent choice.
Avon Lake, I mean, what a win against Elyria to start the season. Avon,
they both beat GCC teams, so that's all Southwestern right there.
But Avon, you know, struggled a little bit with Strongsville, you know, but they lost a lot offensively on that team, so I think they're still figuring things out. Avon Lake might be on the upswing here. I think it's going to be a really good game. It's at Avon Lake. This could be a really close game.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game to follow. You know, like I like the way Avon Lake came out and played in that game. They impressed me. I didn't really know a lot about them other than what Rob said, you know, in his preview. But to go in there and against a very game Elyria team, you know, who's through it in and out, has been a good team throughout the last couple of years, you know, to get that win. And was that on the road or was that at home?
Which one? The
Avon Lake. Elyria.
Avon Lake was on the road.
It was at Elyria, so they went into
and
Elyria.
Avon was at home.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, that's pretty impressive there. And now I believe the opposite is true. Avon's coming to Avon Lake this week, so that's going to be fun for their home opener. That's a good home opener for them.
A lot of good games coming up in the Southwestern Conference, but right now we'll step away. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, the Suburban League American and National divisions with Sean Duffy and Ed Dick are right on the way. We're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. This is our Ohio High School football coverage, Week 1 in the books.